We're going to explore the timestamp extract rule. In the previous videos, we've kind of built a rule from scratch. I think this is best illustrated in context in an actual example. So we have one here for parsing AWS ELB logs. So if we open this up here, we can see this has a couple of rules in the rule group. The first is to actually parse a unstructured message into a bunch of JSON values. And the next is to actually extract the timestamp. So we're just going to look at what the rule does. So we can see this complicated set of regex, but actually all it's doing is timestamp is this field. We're creating a field called request processing time, response processing time, ELB status code, and so on. And all it's doing is just capturing numbers and so on. The rule very helpfully gives some example logs here. So if I paste one of these in, you'll see the output. Now the output here is generated, and we can see this field down here, timestamp. Now, just because we call a field timestamp, it doesn't mean that Coralogix knows that this is a timestamp field. What we have to do is we have to tell Coralogix, and we can do that using the timestamp extract rule. So now we have a field called timestamp. Our job becomes a little bit easier. You open this up, and we have an extract timestamp job. So we can see an example of a timestamp here: year, month, day, and then t, and then hour, minute, second, and a bunch of milliseconds and nanoseconds down there, and then the time zone. So we can see the timestamp here. Now we set the field format time standard. Field format standard, you can read more about these in the documentation. The source field, which is the field in which the to extract. So this is the timestamp here. And what we essentially need to tell Coralogix is this is the field we're interested in, and this is the format that the field is in. So you can see year, month, day, hour, minute, second. Additional like milliseconds, nanoseconds, and so on, and then timestamp. And same thing here. So this is Z, indicating that it's in UTC, and it's always in UTC, so that's very, very helpful. And what this does, if we actually take this value here and place it into the thing, we can see that it comes out as a Unix timestamp. So now we know that we've converted a relative date time into an absolute time, which is really, really powerful. So this is just the key point here is that you can take your a timestamp field, and why is this so powerful? It's really, really powerful because this is the time that the log was created, not the time it was arrived at a proxy server, not the time it arrived at any sort of log processing server, or indeed the time it arrived at Coralogix. It is the time the log was created. By going through this process, you guarantee that the order of the logs you see in Coralogix are the same as the order of the logs you see in your system. So this is a really, really important step, so you're not disorientated between the ordering of logs and seeing different timestamps for the same log. If you see something in your system, you go to Coralogix, you can be confident that the timestamp matches the time the actual event occurred. So this is a really, really important step for that reason. Just one piece of advice as well. Some logs come with multiple timestamps, so some of them have like external wrapper JSON objects that have different timestamps. When you're picking the field to extract, be very, very careful about which one you want. You want the one that indicates the time the log was written, not the time it was captured by a proxy server or it arrived at an Elasticsearch instance or whatever. Just be very, very careful with that. So that's just a piece of guidance. But just to reiterate, the timestamp to extract, essentially you're telling Coralogix, here's my field, here's its format, and this is the outcome you can expect to get.